I'm offering to pay for a settlement. So, let's settle this. How much do you want? The moment she entered the hospital room, these shocking words left me momentarily dumbfounded. What did you say? Nellie, what did you just say? It's exactly what it sounds like. What do you mean? Please answer me. The cruel treatment we had endured, which could have turned into a major issue if not handled carefully. To think she would offer money for a settlement after such an act. How much more must she belittle me? No, us, before she's satisfied. I have no intention of agreeing to such a ridiculous proposal. Nellie, you need to take appropriate responsibility. What did you say? You're as impudent as ever. Don't push us too far. You won't like it if we get really angry. Barely containing my rage, I engaged in a verbal battle with these brazen mom friends and her husband. I've heard everything. My husband cut in with a strong statement. Both the mom friends couple and I were taken aback by the fierce expression on his face that I had never seen before. Nellie, you really haven't changed since the old days. Always thinking you can solve everything with money. What's wrong with that? Everyone wants money, don't they? Exactly. That's how the world works. If we give her money, she won't complain. As the mom friends couple continued their aggressive tirade, my husband pointed his finger at them and declared, Let's see then. If money really can solve everything, shall we put it to the test? Intimidated by his proclamation, the mom friends couple gasped again, but left the hospital room hastily, throwing a parting shot. Just like the mom friends said, at some point, everyone desires money. Money is literally paper that can buy enjoyment and happiness, a kind of magic that exists only in this world. However, as my husband said, there are things that no amount of money can buy or resolve. Mom friends will soon come to realize this fact, combined with their attempt to easily take away the life within me. My name is Allison. I am 32 years old and 9 months pregnant. I have a husband, Basil, who is the same age as me and is eagerly awaiting the birth of our child in my womb. We wish to welcome the birth of our child peacefully, but reality isn't so accommodating, because there are people who are not happy about the birth of our child. The person causing this trouble is one of the mom friends, Nellie, a rotten connection from our high school days. Nellie, a senior of mine and Basil's in high school, came from a wealthy family that owned a major resort company. She was beautiful, academically and athletically talented, making her a Madonna-like figure in high school. However, spoiled by her parents since childhood, she grew up to be extremely selfish and attention-seeking. Her tendency to use money to get whatever she wanted made her infamous in a bad way. Nellie had her sights set on Basil. She made aggressive confessions and repeatedly flaunted money to get him to be her boyfriend. Basil, weary of Nellie and genuinely fond of me from the start, chose me over her. This did not sit well with Nellie, and from that moment, I became her target. You! A plain Jane like you doesn't suit Basil. Give him to me. Now! Right now! But, Nellie, I'm prettier than Allison, Basil. Look, I've got money too. Nellie, could you please stop that? So, during high school, Nellie harassed me with both words and money. I consulted teachers many times, but even they were silenced by Nellie's money-driven influence. Until Nellie graduated, Basil and I did our best to avoid provoking her. After her graduation, we didn't know what happened to her, but she stopped bothering us. We thought we had finally gotten rid of her, never imagining that this past would play a significant role in the current situation. Years later, when I thought we would never see Nellie again, she reappeared in our lives unexpectedly. Well, if it isn't Allison and Basil. I thought I wouldn't see you two poor folks for a while, and here you are, acting like you've got a proper family. Nellie, too, was married with a husband, Dee, and had children. Still living a lavish life, she and her family were draped in flashy, expensive brands, driving around in a high-end car. She behaved just like in high school, flaunting money among other mom friends, and even handed out cash as pocket money, forcing it on them. Most mom friends refused to take her money, but some, blinded by greed, accepted it and became her puppets. Using these bribed mom friends, Nellie began to harass Basil and me. "Allison, your outfit is as plain as ever. Haven't you been able to buy proper clothes since school days? Don't you dare walk proudly in front of me, you plain, poor thing. That side path is more fitting for your walks. This upscale cafe isn't a place for poor people like you and Basil. Here's some pocket money. Go have lunch at a common restaurant or diner instead." In this manner, Nellie continued to criticize Basil's and my appearance and behavior, and harassed us, just like in high school, by flaunting her money. "The likes of her get more excited and pushy if you engage, so let her be until she tires of it." Initially, I wanted to argue against Basil's advice, wondering when she would tire, but I quickly swallowed those thoughts. As Basil said, engaging with such people only fuels their amusement and escalates their harassment. So we decided to deal with Nellie's harassment with minimal response. Then I became pregnant. When Basil learned of the pregnancy, he was genuinely delighted and declared his strong determination to be a father who wouldn't be ashamed. His resolve made me feel the need to live as a mother and as a person in a way that wouldn't be shameful for the child we were about to bring into the world. I just hoped Nellie wouldn't do anything, but reality wasn't so kind. 9 months into my pregnancy, while returning from shopping with my enlarged belly, I unfortunately ran into Nellie. "Oh, Allison? You've gotten quite fat since I last saw you. What have you been eating to get yourself into such an unsightly state, huh?" "This isn't about being fat. There's a baby in my belly. If you have no business, please leave me alone." Nellie seemed displeased with my response and circled around in front of me. "Your attitude has grown as big as your belly, huh? How dare a plain poor person like you get pregnant? It's outrageous and unacceptable." "I don't care what you think. I'm pregnant and want to give birth in Sandy." I tried to leave the situation peacefully, but this seemed to infuriate Nellie even more. "Wait, Allison! You've become too arrogant for your own good." As I hurriedly tried to leave, Nellie chased and grabbed me from behind. In the scuffle, her right arm, swung with momentum, hit my belly hard. I fell to the ground with a thud. I was left in pain, crouching on the spot. "My belly, it hurts! Help! Someone!" In my fading consciousness, I reached for my mobile phone in my pocket and hastily contacted Basil. To Basil, "Basil, the baby's in trouble." Leaving only those words behind, I lost consciousness. When I awoke, I was in a hospital bed, an IV in my arm, wrapped in an electric blanket. "Allison? Good, you're awake?" Familiar voices came from nearby. Turning my head, I saw Corey and Sandy, mom friends I was close with, beside my bed. "What happened to me?" "Oh, right, the baby?" "Don't, Allison. Don't strain yourself. You need to rest." I tried to sit up, but a sharp pain in my abdomen forced me back down. Corey and Sandy gently eased me back onto the bed. I was shocked to see my previously swollen belly now much smaller. After calling a nurse, I learned that I had gone into labor due to the incident and had an emergency C-section. The baby, still small and in an incubator, was healthy and unharmed. Basil, who had rushed from work after my call, was fuming with anger. After talking to Corey, Sandy, and my doctor, who had fortunately been nearby and called for help, I decided to rest and recover before visiting the baby, following Corey and Sandy's advice. But the next day, an unbelievable visitor came to my room. Nellie and her husband Dee, the very people responsible for my hospitalization. "You, Nellie?" How dare you show up like this? What are you doing here? Corey and Sandy, who had come to visit, glared at them, but they ignored them and approached my bed. Their entrance and attitude, after what they'd done, were incredibly rude. I frowned in disbelief. Then the outrageous couple threw a shocking proposal. Let's cut to the chase. How much do you want? What? We're offering to pay for a settlement. How much do you want? My mind went blank, and I felt a chill. What did you say? Nellie, what did you just say? It's exactly what it sounds like. So what do you mean? Please answer me. After what they did to me and my unborn child, they think they can settle with money? How much more will they belittle me? Us? I have no intention of agreeing to such a ridiculous proposal. You, Nellie, need to take appropriate responsibility. I firmly refused, and Nellie and Dee responded with every insult they could think of. What? You're as impudent as ever. Don't make us angry. You won't like what happens if you do. There's nothing impudent about it. It's you who need to stop making a joke of us and taking us for fools. That's right, Nellie. Do you even realize what you've done? It could have been a serious matter if something went wrong. Nellie, there really was a baby in Allison's belly. You carelessly endangered both her and the baby. What are you talking about? We're trying to settle this with money? Aren't you grateful? You people. Didn't your parents teach you to know your place? We're saying let's settle this. Before we get really angry and make a big deal, just agree to the settlement. Corey and Sandy, backing me up, spoke out forcefully, but Nellie and Dee, angered, hurled insults at us all. In the midst of this loud argument, the door to the hospital room suddenly swung open. I've heard everything. Basil, with a calm yet intense voice, intervened. Corey and Sandy turned to Basil, surprised. Nellie and Dee, not expecting Basil to arrive, and confronted with his serious anger for the first time, were suddenly intimidated. Even I, having never seen Basil truly angry, was taken aback, along with Corey and Sandy. Basil walked up to Nellie and Dee, speaking quietly but forcefully. Nellie, you really haven't changed since the old days, always thinking you can solve everything with money. What's wrong with that? Everyone wants money, don't they? Nellie blanched at the direct confrontation. Indeed, everyone wants money, and I won't deny that. But there are things money can't buy, problems it can't solve. This incident is precisely that. No amount of money can make it forgivable. Thankfully, my daughter in the incubator is fine, but one wrong step and she might not have been in this world. Yet Nellie doesn't understand the gravity of what she did, and Dee probably thinks the same way. This makes it even more unforgivable, and I wish they hadn't mentioned a settlement so casually. I agree with Basil. If money could resolve everything, there would be no need for the police. So, once again, we will pursue this legally and demand responsibility. What? More impudent than ever today, huh? Everyone's happy if they have money, right? Exactly. That's how the world works. If you get money, you won't complain. Nellie and Dee, still defiant and hurling insults, didn't faze me anymore with their shallow, show-off lifestyle. Then Basil, pointing assertively at Nellie and Dee, declared, Let's see then. If money really can solve everything, shall we put it to the test? Huh? Stunned by Basil's meaningful challenge, Nellie and Dee were speechless. I too was left astonished. However, Nellie, with Dee by her side, wore a look of disdain and retorted to Basil. What are you talking about, testing? Are you stupid? What can poor people like you and Allison possibly do? With that dismissive comment, Nellie and Dee left the hospital room. Basil, what are you planning to do? Don't worry about anything, Allison. Leave it all to me. Saying this, Basil exchanged glances with Corey and Sandy, who nodded and reassured me that everything would be okay. Confused and still recovering from the surgery, I found it too difficult to argue or talk any further. So I decided to trust Basil and let him handle things, choosing to rest and recover instead. The next evening, Nellie stormed into the hospital again, visibly enraged. Are you there? I know it's your doing. Stop hiding and come out, you cowardly plain woman! Outside my room, Nellie argued with the nurses, yelling incomprehensibly. Basil, arriving for a visit after work, saw the commotion. What's going on now? Showing up at the hospital and causing a scene? Are you okay? He calmly asked. Nellie, redirecting her anger at Basil, snapped back. This mess at our house since yesterday? It's all your and Allison's doing. Bringing the police and lawyers into a simple mom-friends dispute. What were you thinking? Just a dispute, huh? Sleep talk should be saved for bed. Dealing with a crazy woman like you needs an effective approach. What? Explain yourself at the police station. This is disturbing the other patients. As Basil dismissed her, Nellie continued to shout and tried to approach my room, but was soon restrained by security guards, who had apparently arrived behind her. They escorted her out, her voice fading away. Then, the sound of sirens and more shouting indicated she was likely taken away in a patrol car Basil or the hospital had called. That night, incredibly, Dee called me. I'm divorcing that woman, and I won't bother you again. Don't drag me into this anymore. His sudden call, full of inexplicable and selfish remarks, was astonishing. A wife like her? A husband like you? I'll hear the details later. Please stop bothering me with your nonsensical and selfish claims. After he shouted something more, I hung up, without a word, and blocked his calls, finally embracing the peaceful rest I needed. Later, I learned that Corey's husband is a police officer, and Sandy's husband a newspaper reporter, both good friends of Basil and in close contact. After the hospital incident with Nellie and Dee, Basil immediately sought their help, and they agreed to assist. Corey and Sandy, also fed up with Nellie's behavior, offered their support for my revenge. First, with Corey's husband's assistance, Basil filed a complaint against Nellie for assault and battery, leading to her arrest. Subsequently, through lawyer Sandy, a discussion ensued, but Nellie shamelessly insisted she was not at fault. Corey countered this by presenting a recording of the conversation in the hospital room as evidence. Given Corey and Sandy's eyewitness testimonies at the scene of the assault, Nellie was found guilty and ordered to pay a substantial amount in damages. Sandy's husband reported the incident to his newspaper, and its publication not only impacted Nellie, but also her family's business severely. Furthermore, Nellie's parents, out of love for their daughter, had embezzled company funds to cover up her numerous misdeeds, leading to a loss of company credibility and financial distress. Dee, who had been misusing Nellie's financial influence at his company, was not well regarded by his colleagues. Eventually, word spread among his co-workers, and Dee was met with cold stares and whispered conversations. This led to the HR department deciding to transfer him to a regional office. Later, Nellie divorced Dee, and her parents abruptly disowned her, taking custody of their 2 children. Burdened with substantial debts, including the compensation payment, and ostracized due to her actions, Nellie struggled to find reemployment. Corey and Sandy mentioned that she is now living as a homeless person in a park, seen lining up for food at a volunteer soup kitchen. Dee, unable to bear the cold treatment and rumors, resigned from his company and fled. He was last seen boarding a plane to a remote location, and his whereabouts remain unknown. Several months after the incident, I was discharged from the hospital with my newborn daughter. We received a significant compensation payment from Nellie, My daughter has shown no lasting effects and is growing well post-discharge. Basil, along with Corey, Sandy, and other mom friends, are enjoying peaceful lives. Watching over my daughter's growth